Since the beginning of last year, England has had a number of different lockdowns, and when there hasn't been lockdowns, there's been different tiers in place. And during a lockdown, it's only possible to go out for a number of different reasons. So for exercise, for food, if someone is a key worker, things like that, they're allowed out. And during the tier, when there is a tier in place, it has meant that certain shops have been open and some have been closed. So the normal way of life has been disrupted. And of course, this isn't just England that has been affected by what is going on. Different countries all over the world have responded in different ways, but in most countries there has been lockdowns and restrictions in place. And of course, if someone has had to isolate, if they're isolating now, it can be very challenging for them to function and to be in a good way to look after their mental and emotional health. This part of them can greatly suffer. And so this has inspired me to put together a number of things that you can do if you are isolating at this point in time, or if you're out of a lockdown, but perhaps soon you might be in another lockdown. Because I came to see that through spending a fair amount of time in isolation, although the first time or the first few times, I think we've had at least one more, it was okay and I got used to it. And this time, I experienced a bit of cabin fever and I got a bit fed up with what was going on. And when it comes down to punishing someone, one of the worst kinds of punishment is to put someone into isolation, to send them away from everyone else, and to put them in solitary confinement. Because through being interdependent human beings, we are not our own island, we need others. So without that, naturally we are going to suffer. So perhaps you are isolating, let's say, assuming you are isolating now. You could be by yourself or you could be with others. Perhaps you are with others who you get on with and you have a strong bond with this person or these people, or perhaps they rub you up the wrong way. But even if you have a strong bond with them, you can still find that from time to time you get fed up with being in this person's presence and you need a break. Simply part of life. No matter how much we may like someone or love someone, we all need time away from them. And so the first thing I've got here for you to look after your mental and emotional health during this time is to make sure you get enough sleep. So it's been said that we need about 8 hours sleep, and along with going to sleep at the same time and waking up at the same time, to have the routine there are a number of things that can make it easier for you to get a solid sleep. One thing is to have magnesium. Another thing is not to have caffeine too late. One more thing is to sleep naked, because apparently when our body gets too warm, it makes it harder for us to get the kind of sleep that we need. So it warms the body up too much if we're wearing all these layers. So that's another thing. And another thing I've got here is exercise. So it doesn't have to be anything too extreme. It could be just walking or some light jogging or whatever it may be, because it's all about movement. I heard today that one of the best ways to deal with inflammation is movement. So things like movement or sleep in today's world are often seen as hacks. But as I see it, they're pretty much obvious things. Well, they should be. And it's simply because of our modern day world, we've often lost touch with things our ancestors did. We become more solitary, so things like exercise, moving around is just being phased out for a lot of people, but in the past, of course, this was normal. Another thing I've got here, and this can be seen as part of exercise if it's done outside, is to spend time in nature. Because through being in nature, we can feel more centered, more at ease. And the whole system can be regulated, maybe some barefoot walking too. And just simply being in nature can be very nourishing for us. So if you are isolating by yourself, this can be a great way for you to settle yourself down and to feel more connected to yourself and to de-stress. Another thing I've got here is to reach out. So you won't be able to, or you probably won't be able to meet anyone in person, but what you can do is speak to them over Skype or Zoom, something like that. And if you're in a position where you haven't got anyone you can talk to, then there are different groups that you can find online. So if you're a man, then a men's group, or a woman, perhaps a woman's group. All depends on what you feel comfortable with, but there are options there. So there's no need for you to suffer in silence. So please don't do that. Another thing I've got here is to socialise, and as I said, because of what's going on, you won't be able to do that. But one thing you may be able to do is if you were to go out for a walk, you may see people and you can have a small conversation with them. Might just be a hello or something like that, or a small bit of chit chat. But through doing that, that can be a great way for you to regulate yourself and to experience human contact. As small as it may be, it can be better than nothing. And another thing I've got here is to meditate. So it can just simply be finding somewhere quiet and focusing on your breath. And again, this can be another way for you to settle down, to get out of your mind and into your body and to de-stress. It can be something you can do for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but just simply breathing deeply can be a key part of being able to de-stress. And to meditate before you go to bed can be another way to settle yourself down and to prepare yourself to sleep. Another thing I've got here is to eat well. So through being in isolation and perhaps not feeling as you would usually, you might end up eating foods that are detrimental to your well-being. So perhaps lots of sugary foods and things like that. So make sure that you do eat foods that make you feel good and nourish you. Because again, if you don't have enough energy, then it's going to be harder for you to be your best. So, and this is one reason why sleep is so important, because if you don't get solid sleep, then you can wake up feeling irritable, and it can be hard for you to concentrate and to remember things. So it's a key part. Another thing I've got here, which is a very big thing, is to be mindful of how much news you consume. Because although part of you may want to stay informed, through consuming so much of the fear-based media, it can do more harm than good. It can make things seem worse than they are, make it hard for you to sleep, to concentrate. And this too much fear and from the news, through watching the news, can actually weaken your immune system. And sugar can also do this too. So the key is for you to be mindful of how much you consume and how you feel, and to see if it's actually benefiting you. Another thing I've got here is to journal. So writing down your thoughts, your feelings, Yeah, another thing you can do as well is to write down what you are grateful for as well. So during times like this, it can be easy to focus on the bad things and negative things, and to overlook all the blessings that we have in our life. And so through being grateful, it can have a big impact on our ability to experience positive feelings and to experience more of the things that we are grateful for. And another thing I've got here is to maintain the routine as much as you can that you would usually have in place. Because that way, once you get out of the lockdown, it will be a lot easier for you to go back to doing the things you did before. And through having a routine, it can, of course, keep your mind focused and prevent you from getting caught up in the dramas that your mind may create and what appears to be going on externally. And lastly, I've got the importance of being clear about your goals, perhaps through being away from others and spending more time by yourself. It's given you the chance to reflect and to think about what matters to you, and to see that perhaps before you weren't doing things that were in alignment with who you are. So through being able to have a break, it's given you the opportunity to get in touch with your true self and to see what matters to you, so you can start to create a life that is in alignment with who you are. And this can be one of the blessings of what has taken place. It's given so many people the chance to reflect on their life. So those are all the points that I've got down. I hope that you have found at least some of them beneficial. And if you've got any more, please share them below and send me your feedback. It'd be good to hear about what you have found to be helpful during this time. And I wish you the best during this period. And the main thing is that you keep going, don't suffer in silence, and know that this too shall pass, as the saying goes.